we will soon hear the of Surah Al-Hujurat, which is amongst the many surahs in the 26th juz. It's one of the most fascinating surahs. It only has 18 ayat, and it can be easily described as the most comprehensive instructional manual, instructions manual for Muslim social structure, a Muslim society, either in minority or in majority. It doesn't matter wherever they are. But it's a wonderful instruction manual. The second thing is that it's the only place in the Quran in which within 18 ayat, the ayah Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu comes 5 times. 5 times. Never, no other place in the Quran, this concentration. And Abdullah bin Mas'ud said that any time you hear Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, or you have believed, you need to pay special attention because it is immediately, what follows immediately is either a command or a prohibition. It's either a command or a prohibition immediately following that. Right? And the first ayah, from many accounts, is probably the greatest ayah of the Quran. And the surah starts, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, la tuqaddimu bayna yadayi Allahi wa rasulihi, wattaqullah, inna Allaha samiyun alim. And there are 2 qira'at, la tuqaddamu and la tuqaddimu. If you took the first qira'ah, which is la tuqaddamu, it's from bab tafa'ul. Those of you who know Arabic. So bab tafa'ul. Bab tafa'ul is, for example, we say ta'allum, when you acquire something yourself. You're teaching yourself, you're learning. That's called ta'allum. Right? If you took the tuqaddimu, that's from bab taf'il, which means, like for example, you say ta'aleem when you're teaching somebody. What's beautiful about it is though both meanings fit in beautifully. If we took the first qira'ah, la taqaddamu, meaning don't put yourself ahead of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if you took the second recitation, la tuqaddimu, there's a maf'ul which is mahzuf here. The maf'ul is la tuqaddimu ra'yakum. لا تقدموا قول خلاف الكتاب والسنة. Don't put your opinion against Allah and His Messenger. Don't put yourself against Allah and His Messenger. Don't put your opinion against Allah and His Messenger. And this ayah is the foundation of any Muslim society and its operations. And as always, Sayyidina Rasulullah gave the best explanation of this. He said, in a hadith narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and recorded by Imam Ahmad, he said, مثل المؤمن ومثل الإيمان كمثل الفرس في أخيته أو كما قال. The example of a believer is like that of a horse which is tied to a peg. It's a beautiful example. Consider it. You have a horse. You take a 100-meter long rope and tie it to a peg. Now, within a 100-meter circumferential area, the horse is free to do whatever he wants to do. He can run, he can sit, he can jump, he can go north, east, south, west. Do all of that. But he cannot go to 101 meters. At 100 meters, his limit ends. And that is what the ayah is saying. In our personal lives and in our collective lives, we are free and we are bound simultaneously. Within the boundaries set by the Quran and the Sunnah, we're free to do what we want to do. But not a step more, regardless of what the law that human beings make says. There are many things which are permissible in this country by law. But the Quran and the Sunnah don't permit us to do that. Right? So within that boundary, and what's beautiful is that the first ayah says, لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله, mentions both Allah and His Rasul, but the next part says, واتقوا الله, and have taqwa of Allah. Right? Have taqwa of Allah, because no law in the world, regardless of what's on the books, if it's not followed by taqwa from the heart, it's useless. Its application is useless. It will never be applied if it's not accompanied by taqwa in the heart. All Muslim countries have all sorts of laws in the books, but because they're not applied, because there's no taqwa. In fact, most people may not know Pakistan is the only country in the world, the constitution of which, the Shik number 227 says, no law shall be enacted repugnant to the Quran and the Sunnah, which is the direct interpretation, actual interpretation of this ayah. But we know it's not applied. But the second beautiful thing about it says, wattaqullah. So Allah and His Messenger are mentioned first, but then when it comes to taqwa, only Allah is mentioned, obviously, because taqwa is only to Allah. But then, what do you do? What is your interaction with the Rasulullah? He was mentioned first, but he's not mentioned here. But the 4 ayat immediately after this are all about how your relationship with Sayyidina Rasulullah should be. It should be based on reverence, it should be based on utter respect and love, and that's it. Even to the point where your voices must not be raised over His blessed voice. And if that happens, the Quran says, أَن تَحْبَطَ أَعْمَالُكُمْ, not just min amalikum, all of your deeds will be destroyed. Even if you raise your voice against the voice of the Messenger. And so that respect in his life was shown by the Sahaba, and it will remain till the end of time by those who then follow his Sunnah. And Imam Malik is well known that one of the students, when he was walking with him and started narrating a hadith, and he stopped and he said, man, you would narrate the Prophet ﷺ while walking? I mean, our scholars had that much adab because they were in that state where even though the Prophet ﷺ was physically not present, but they, based on these ayat, they kept that discipline intact. So it's an extraordinary beginning. And then the surah itself is just a fascinating surah. And there are 2 reasons why you see this combination. Any society needs 2 things. 2 things. Law is one thing. You have to have law, you have to have rules and regulations. But there's something else that must bind people together. And it has to be an emotional, passionate thing. And it has to revolve around a certain personality. The Chinese had Chairman Mao. Most different countries have different people. The Indians had Gandhi and Nehru. Muslims don't need anybody else because we have the best of the characters ever created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is Sayyidina Rasulullah. And so both of those things, the law, that's there, but then what truly binds us emotionally together, all of us, is our love for Sayyidina Rasulullah. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bi ayatihi wa dhikril hakim.